Welcome back to Chasing Rank. It's Damo _23, and today we have a slightly different video for you as we're discussing early game strategy and a draft that may potentially move me off my bench boost 1 plans. With that being said, I want to say a big thank you to everybody watching this video and who's interacted with the channel. Since our rebrand, we have gone on a massive upswing of growth, and that's down to your interaction, so we'd like to say thank you for myself, Paul and Dom. To continue this growth, please hit the notification bell down below so you're notified when we all go live or Paul and I release a video. Give this video a like as well, and in the comments section, let me know if you prefer this strategy over the one I've been discussing recently in previous videos, which was my Bench Boost 1 and Game Week 2 Wildcard strategy. The strategy we're discussing today will be on screen, and what I will say is I think this is a bit more towards the template of what is coming out from most content creators. I'm going to preface this that I wasn't originally planning to do a video like this, but after playing around on Discord with Paul, I've drawn up a draft that I've quite liked and one that I may even change into on the Fantasy Premier League page. Let's get into what this strategy looks like. It is very simply roll to Game Week 5, picking a team that does well over the first 5 game weeks and limiting the ability to make transfers. Bench boost in Game Week 5 because the team naturally fits a very strong Game Week 5 for the one I have selected in today's draft. What seems to be the most meta and template week to wildcard, Game Week 13, to catch the big tick over of fixture swings for Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal. I think they all go on a run during that period, definitely Liverpool and City. And I've put the triple captain on there. Game Week 14 in an asterisk. Obviously, you pick the best single game week that you think. But in Game Week 14, by memory, Salah has Sunderland at home. And that could potentially be quite a good fixture to triple captain and hopefully try and catch a Salah hat-trick or more. With that being said, this is what's being discussed in today's video. And as you guys know, I do a pros and cons list in order why I would go with this strategy. I do think it's important for everybody to be thinking about what you're going to do for the first part of the season when building your Game Week 1 draft, and that is mainly down to the double of chips that are in play this season. Once we've done that, we'll go through the draft itself, and I think it's an interesting one with some talking points, and hopefully you enjoy this video and give it a like, and let's get into those pros and cons. I'm going to start with the cons of this strategy first. The big one for me is you're misbuilding the perfect bench boost team due to lack of fixtures. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. I'm going to start with the cons first. And the big one for me is this first point. You're misbuilding the perfect bench boost team due to lack of transfers. This is down to we are all on a wild card as of right now and being able to play the chip, which means we can tinker and change our team to perfect the bench right up until the Game Week 1 deadline. This allows us to use deadline day stream information with early team news, see all the preseason data, emerging trends, and react to injury news throughout preseason in order to have the best possible bench in Game Week 1. It also then allows for us to remove money off the bench post that as well with an early wildcard. This leads me to point number 2, where on this strategy, you're forced to have a fair few amount of funds tied up in your bench, and that's because you have to have a playing goalkeeper to bench boost, and you have to have 3 playing players on your bench that are decent enough to score points when you do decide to bench boost in Game Week 5, as this strategy says. This will increase the likelihood of selection headaches just due to the bench being super strong. This will mean that you're going to have to be comfortable sometimes getting it wrong and leaving points on your bench, which if you are one of those managers that will react badly to that, then this strategy may not be for you because there might be multiple weeks where you have a borderline decision and you get it wrong, and it could cost you anywhere between 3 to 15 points depending on how big the swing is of that game week. These are some reasons why this strategy may not be for you, and these are the main reasons why I'll be looking into the Game Week 1 bench boost with the Game Week 2 wildcard so heavily so far during preseason. But I'm moving to the pros now, and this is why this is emerging as the template, because the pros are pretty good, and it leaves you in a very, very strong spot for the second half of the first period of the FPL season. Onto the pros list, it's quite strong and why this is emerging as the meta. Points 1 and 3 here really tie in well together, and I'm going to go through both of them right now. You'll have 13 game weeks of data before building your next wildcard. That is huge to understand what trends are emerging and what we should target, as said in point 3. Examples would be with teams, firstly like Brentford and Bournemouth, who've had a lot of outs with the transfer market, how they react, and are there assets that we still want to have from these teams, and are they reliable? It'll also give us the opportunity to look at defensive contribution trends and see if these players, like an Anderson or Richards, are starting to outweigh those players that we historically go for in the attacking sense, like Dorgu and Diouf. It'll also help us understanding the 8th attacker role, and is it better to go with defensive contributions like Declan Rice, Xhaka, Anderson, or is guys like a Dinger and Minte from mid-table sides with good attacking data still the way to go? The second point in the middle here is quite a big one for the experienced and skilled managers out there. Have flexibility to have short-term 1 to 4 game week punts before your wildcard. Managers that have played the game before will tell you right now, this is where you chase your rank, and this is the decisions that will have the most impact on your season. Identifying players via the eye test and stats that may have 2 to 3 game weeks of great fixtures, but are long-term not good holds, are the types of players you want to be able to target right before your wildcard. This allows you to really fixture hunt these players and bring them in, there is very low downside and massive upside, and potentially allow you to chase that rank where these are players that are low ownership, but you know you can have them in for those couple of weeks and wildcard them out. It also allows you, if you've built up your transfers, which this team should allow you to build up to 5 fairly quickly, to really get 3 or 4 of these players in and target those really short-term fixture swings right up until the Game Week 13 wildcard. I believe that these pros are super strong, give you a great balance and how to play your early start to FPL, and will give you a great little base to build upon in order to have your strategy, your team, work together to give you the best rank possible. Onto the draft, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you're here for. What I'll do is go through each set of players individually, and then I'll show you it on Fantasy Football Hub so you can see that team rating right at the very end. If you've enjoyed that little bit of strategy talk, give this video a like, and in the comment section, let me know what you think of this strategy once we go through this squad, and let me know what your strategy is looking like for the start of this season. Onto the goalkeepers, and it's Kelleher and Petrovic, 2 playing 4.5 mil goalkeepers. That should be the pick of the bunch, depending on the fixtures. Verbruggen arguably could also get in this team as well, but I think these 2 work the best. If you look at the fixture swapping potential here, you're going to have Forest away, which is okay, Wolves at home, Sunderland away, Brighton at home, with Leeds away in game week 6, and obviously the plan is the wildcard in game week 5. You would get Kelleher with Fulham away, which is not the worst fixture. And you get Newcastle at home for Petrovic, where if Bournemouth were to keep a clean sheet in that game against a solid Newcastle attack, Petrovic is going to get a clean sheet plus save points and potential for bonus. So a potential big hauling week on your bench boost ain't too bad. These are 2 goalkeepers that can play, rotate well, and even beyond this into game week 13 have very solid fixtures. These are 2 that are going to be fairly nailed in this draft. On to the defenders. And they are Virgil van Dijk, Cucurella, Neco Williams, Wan-Bissaka, and I cannot pronounce his name, but Lacroix, Mr. Crystal Palace 5.0 defender that is great for defensive contributions. All 5 players offer something a little bit different. You've got 2 premiums for 2 great defenses in Virgil and Cucurella. Both players that are going to have ability just because of the strength of their teams to keep a lot of clean sheets. Both that do fairly well for defensive contributions. And Cucurella, who's fairly attacking and will invert into the midfield for Chelsea. You have Neco Williams and Wan-Bissaka, who are both pretty decent for defensive contributions and have attacking upside for both their teams as their fullbacks that will put in a lot of crosses throughout the year. And Larox, I don't know how you pronounce it. He was a monster for defensive contribution points last year and would have gone close to being the highest Premier League point scoring defender last season behind Murillo and Milenkovic. When you're looking at the Game Week 5 bench boost, these are the 5 fixtures you will get. You'll get Virgil van Dijk against Everton. You'll get Cucurella against Man United away, which is either going to be a really cagey game or open game, and Cucurella doesn't mind either. You'll get Burnley away for Neco Williams, which is fantastic. You'll get Wan-Bissaka at home to Crystal Palace, which, depending if Palace lose Eze, could be a really good fixture for Wan-Bissaka defensively, plus with the attacking potential. And Lacroix will get West Ham away, which, for Crystal Palace, shouldn't be too bad. I know both of them are playing each other, but there is a world where that finishes 0-0, and there is a world where Wan-Bissaka gets an attacking return, and Lacroix still gets 2 to 3 points because of the defensive contributions. I think it's 5 really good fixtures for a bench boost between 5 defenders that will be able to play most weeks. And more importantly, you will likely play Virgil and Cucurella every week, and more often than not, only need to play one of Neco Williams, Wan-Bissaka, Lacroix, and all 3 of them, in their own right, could play every single game week because they have defensive contribution potential and some attacking upside for 2 of those 3. Your midfield 5 for this draft is as follows. It's Mohamed Salah, Cole Palmer. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Your midfield 5 for this draft is as follows. It's Mohamed Salah, Cole Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Minte, and Elliot Anderson. It's a draft that has 3 premiums and 2 budget options that are emerging in preseason as the best options to go after. Mohamed Salah will be hailed as the best fantasy Premier League player of all time. He has great fixtures and is captainable in almost any and every fixture. Cole Palmer provides a great alternative captain option in game weeks 2 and 3, has great fixtures, be on penalties, and be the heartbeat of the Chelsea attack. The one that I'm most interested in, and even though I'm wearing a Liverpool shirt with a Liverpool background, is Bruno Fernandes. On penalties, just scored 1 in pre-season, which highlights that Mbeumo and Cunha aren't taking him because they were both on the field. Has great defensive contribution points. He's almost at the point where I would say he is fixture-proof, and that means you've got 3 midfielders that no matter what, you're going to be able to play every single game week. You then have Minte, who's looked very good in pre-season, who's always passed the eye test, and if he is nailed for minutes, will be quite attacking in the Brighton side. And Elliot Anderson, who I think will be the game breaker for FPL this year. He averaged over 13 defensive contributions last season and will take some set pieces for Forest. He'll be 90 minutes, one that you sit in your team and just go, he has a low ceiling in terms of, apologies. He has a high floor. You know that he's going to at least find a way to get the 2 points, 90 minutes play, defensive contributions, etc. You know that if Forest keep a clean sheet, he's going to get a minimum 3, and more times than not, he's going to get defensive contributions. He is someone that's got to tick over with a lot of 2, 3, 4, 5 pointers. And then in those weeks where he gets an assist or he pops up with a goal, he is going to score some bag full of points. He's someone that I'm super excited for and someone that I don't see leaving any of my drafts moving forward. What this looks like in Game Week 5 for the bench boost is as followed. You'll have Salah at home to Everton, which you will undoubtedly captain him for. You have Palmer against Manchester United, and if they defend anything like they did last season, that's a great fixture for Palmer. You have Bruno Fernandes against Chelsea, where, even though I mentioned that, that's a great fixture for Bruno to get defensive contribution points in. I expect United to be better this season, especially going forward. So with Cunha and Mbeumo there, and Bruno in behind being able to feed all of them, I think that's huge for his potential attacking upside. Got to remember, he is someone that got 20 goal contributions last season in a side that was playing fairly poorly. Minte's got Spurs, and if Spurs are anything like last season, which, look, I'm Australian, Ange is Ange, I still think that there's a lot of problems at Spurs. I think this is a great fixture for Minte. And Elliot Anderson has Burnley away. What a great fixture for him. That's, to me, spells clean sheet, defensive contributions, and potential for attacking returns. That could be a big old haul in Game Week 5 for Elliot Anderson. On to the forwards, and that is Burnley. 3, 2, 1, and let's go. On to the forwards. It's Solanke, Evan Nielsen, and Mark Guihu. Please note that the fixtures under Guihu are the Sunderland fixtures, even though he has his Chelsea top on. And that's because I've cropped in the Sunderland fixtures over the top of the graphic. So if they are a little blurry, I do apologise. Going to start with Solanke. He's got Burnley at home, Man City away, Bournemouth at home, West Ham at home, Brighton away, and Wolves at home in the first 6. And some great fixtures over the first 13 game weeks. Thomas Frank had Ivan Toney purring at Brentford. Solanke is a similar player of a similar mould. Also will be on penalties and will be nailed on for 90 minutes. I think he's someone that will potentially go bang this season in a very attacking Spurs side who will still have defensive problems, but will be very good going forward. Outside of that Game Week 2 fixture, he could be quite fantastic and represent great value for the first half of this season. Over to Evan Nielsen. He was great value last season, and I expect so again. He will be 90 minutes, be the focal point of the Bournemouth attack, and potentially take penalties if Clivert isn't on the park. He has Liverpool away first game week, which isn't great, but post that has some really good fixtures, like Wolves at home and Leeds away, and represents great value. Mark Guihu has had that move to Sunderland, and you imagine Chelsea have sent him there, so he's playing regular first team minutes for his development. If we get team news that he starts in game week 1 against West Ham at home, potential to play him over Evan Nielsen. In game week 2, plays Burnley away when Solanke plays Manchester City away. Potential to play him in game week 2. Also having a 4.5 mil playing striker for a newly promoted side that will be the focal point of their attack is never a bad thing and allows for great flexibility in other areas of the squad, kind of like why the midfield has 3 premiums in it. When you look at game week 5 for the bench boost, what I will say is you can't get it perfect on the bench boost because you're not doing it in game week 1 and you can't tinker to the deadline. What I will say is Solanke has Brighton away, who historically is really good going forward but poor defensively, so potential for goals. Newcastle at home for Evan Nielsen, who Newcastle have not looked great in pre-season and have been shipping goals. So with that being said, Evan Nielsen should be nailed on here, part of the starting 11, and really should have a sniff of some attacking returns. And Mark Guihu has Aston Villa at home, which isn't the perfect bench boost fixture. However, for 4.5 mil playing striker, who should be nailed on, at home, it's a good fixture anyway. All it takes is one moment, he gets you 6 points, and away you go, and you're laughing on the bench boost. I think that this is a great set of free. It allows flexibility in the middle of the park and in defence, carries a couple of extra premiums thanks to the saving in Guihu, and potential for a lot of team value to be built when all 3 go bang at the start of the season. For this last part, we're off to Fantasy Football Hub for the My Team tool, and you give us a rating for game week number 1, but more importantly for the future game weeks. And like I've been doing previously with my videos, we'll try and predict how many points we're going to get on the bench boost as well. As you can see, this is the optimized team for game week 1, and Hub give this a 97% team rating at 94% game week rating. You've got some really good predicted points here with a great captaincy in Salah, and you can see that Minte is very well liked by the algorithm. As you can see from the predicted points from your striker, Solanke and Evan Nielsen have some very consistent predicted points throughout. In game week 2, it's the worst game week of the 5 that you will see, and that is because we do have a couple of harder fixtures for our team, in Solanke playing Manchester City, for instance. And on the bench, as you can see, you've got Chelsea for Wan-Bissaka, you've got Neco Williams against Crystal Palace away, and Guehi would have Burnley, but we don't have those updated points, so we can't really put him in just of yet. In game week 3, without making any transfers, and you've rolled 3 transfers now, you get a 93% game week rating, which looks fairly solid. In game week 4, you get an 89%, and you potentially could be playing a couple of other people here, like Anderson could potentially start for you as well, if you believe in the defensive contribution points as he's playing Arsenal away. Game week 5, which is your bench boost week, you still have a team rating of 97%. You have an overall game week rating of 93%, which is fairly strong. You have 64.5 predicted points. And your team would be like this for the week. Be Petrovic, Virgil van Dijk, Wan-Bissaka, and Cucurella. You would have Mohamed Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Palmer, Minte, and Anderson all play, with Evan Nilsson and Solanke. That will mean your bench will look as followed. Kelleher in goal. Neco Williams against Burnley away. Lacroix against West Ham away. And Guehi will have Aston Villa at home as previously mentioned, even though that's not updated on Hub right now. As we've been trying to do with this series, we've been trying to predict the amount of points that you're going to have. I don't expect this to beat any of my Bench Boost 1 game week predictions because they are the most perfect team you can have for one-off game week. Kelleher, I think, away from home was probably going to concede to Fulham, but is also a game for clean sheet potential, etc. So let's say we have 3 points here, split it in the middle, kind of what Hub's doing. Burnley away for Neco Williams should be a clean sheet. Now, it's hard to predict attacking returns and defensive contribution points, so let's just say 6 points for Neco. Lacroix against West Ham away, also one of those fixtures that you don't know if they're going to concede in or not. You would imagine they're going to keep a clean sheet, but you never know with Jared Bowen sniffing around. So let's go with the predicted points there that I have 3.8 and rounded up to 4. So straight away we have 6, 10, 13 points. Guehi, we don't have a prediction on, but as you can see just here, we have Mayenda, who's averaging 3.8 for this game, who is Hub's starting striker for Sunderland as it stands. So let's say Mark Guehi just gets the 2 points for playing. All of a sudden on your bench boost, you've got 10, 13, 15 points straight there. Anytime that you can get more than 12 points on your bench boost, you're fairly happy. Some people luck out and get 40 if it all goes well, and good luck to you. I think the most I've ever got is 14. If this team can get 12 or 13, I'll be really happy because it gives you great flexibility to game week 13 and gives you the potential to have a very strong squad and play that wild card at the right time to pick up those fixture swings. What that'll mean for overall points, let's say it's 13 points, is it's going to give you 77 predicted points for that game week. That is going to be a fairly strong game week in game week 5. If you're bench boosting in game week 1, you would look for more points, obviously. But as an in-season bench boost in a one-off game week, this is shaping to be quite a strong one. This is also not predicting that these players get any bonus. Kelleher doesn't actually keep a clean sheet or make save points, and doesn't predict that Guehi even scores against Aston Villa. There is a lot of upside if this goes right, and the downside to it is all of them play 90 minutes and do nothing, and you get 2, 4, 6, 8 points. Which, if that's your worst case, that ain't too bad. With that being said, I think this is a strategy that is very viable and is a team that could roll a lot into the future. It also is a team that allows you to have those 1 to 4 game week punts right before the wildcard as well. Let me know if you like this team better than my previous drafts on the channel, and let me know what your chip strategy is looking like for the season coming up. With that being said, it has been Damo_23 on Chasing Rank. Hit the notification bell to allow Paul, Dom, and I help you chase your best rank this season. Leave a comment. Thank you very much. And most importantly, goodbye.